Okay, let's get you updated on what's going on with Turkey and Syria. Let's bring in Nile Gardiner of the Heritage Foundation. Great to have you on, Nile. Okay,
my pleasure.
Fox News' Jennifer Griffin is reporting that the ceasefire is, quote, largely holding. U.S. officials looking to send tanks to Syria to protect oil fields so groups like ISIS doesn't seize them. Your take on what's going on right now?
Yeah, a whole series of developments on the Syria-Turkey front, and I think the most interesting development certainly is the decision by the president to reinforce U.S. protection of the oil fields in Syria in order to keep them out of the hands of ISIS, Iran, or other hostile forces. And this is a very big move because it does involve potentially several hundred U.S. military personnel, possibly U.S. tanks as well, and is sending a very clear signal that the United States is not withdrawing from Syria, far from it. The U.S. is going to defend its interests in the country. That means, of course, warding off the ISIS threat, also keeping the Iranians at bay, keeping the Russians at bay. And so there's going to continue to be a very significant U.S. footprint in Syria and the continuing projection of U.S. power in the region. And so this whole idea of the United States supposedly withdrawing from Syria, I think, is really far from reality. The United States remains committed to defending its interests and ensuring, of course, that ISIS in particular is emphatically defeated and that our geostrategic enemies are kept at bay as well.
So it seems that there was a media overreaction to what the president was doing with Syria. I think that's your point. But I want to get to Pentagon Chief Mark Esper. He had tough words for Turkey. Watch this.
Turkey put us all in a very terrible situation. I mean, I think the incursion was unwarranted. I think President Erdogan was fixated on making this incursion for one reason or another, and there was not a possibility that we were going to start a war with a NATO ally, a NATO ally who's been a very good ally since its joining the alliance in 1952, I think. But I've also said that the direction of Turkey with regard to the alliance is heading in the wrong direction.
Okay, really tough words for Turkey. Turkey is a member of NATO. Russia is not. Your take on what the defense secretary said, sir?
Yeah, very strong words directed at President Erdogan and the Turkish regime. And I think this is the right message to be sending to Turkey, that their actions in Syria have been unacceptable, hugely unhelpful for the United States. Okay. And I think that Turkey is going to be held to account. If Turkey violates the ceasefire that is in place, that the United States has worked hard to put in place, then Turkey will be fully held to account by the United States. And I think Turkey is being placed on notice, even though Turkey, of course, is an important U.S. ally, an important NATO partner. It cannot simply get away with whatever it wants to do in Syria. And
it is an economic trouble. We're running out of time. I want to get to this story. It's important. Another bad actor in the region, Iran, is now found to be basically accused of executing 7 children in 2018. Sir, it has one of the highest, that's according to the United Nations. Iran has one of the, if not the highest execution rate in the world per capita. It's executed nearly 1,000 people, men, women, children, and seniors since 2017. I mean, I just want to report that because that's the scope, that's the context of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and I think that with regard to Iran, a lot of the executions as well are political in the country. I mean, this is a barbaric regime that has zero respect for human rights, and this is a reminder, I think, of the fact that Iran is a deadly enemy of the United States. We have to be on our guard against Iran. We also have to hold the Iranian regime to account for its absolutely appalling human rights record.
And support the push for democracy and freedom there. Great to see you, Nile. Good to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you.
Come back soon. Next.